What's goody, what's poppin', y'all? Welcome back to another video. Today we'll officially be building our PPG dog box, and it's time to go fast. Alright, before we can even start this whole build process, there was a couple things that I had to do that I want to show you guys that you have to do. It's mandatory. So the first thing I had to do was I got the diff, I put it inside the clutch housing, and then I got the top of the transmission housing and I put the top on, bolted them down with 4 bolts, and then we use our preload tool, which we have over here. We made one. We made a preload tool out of old axle. You get this bad boy. What you do is you'll stick it inside your differential. Let me show you. You just stick it inside your differential, and then you'll get like a special tool, and it's like I forgot what it's called, a deflection beam torque wrench. You'll test the turn of your differential. So that's number one. What I did. Number two, what I did is I test our shim that's way down in there. I don't know if you can see it. That shim right there, I had to test to make sure that shim was good, make sure it's not too tight. So that came out perfect. I already did the measurements for everything. That's why I'm showing y'all the video of me just putting it together. Do not just throw your transmission together. If you get a brand new housing and a brand new gear set, measure your stuff out. Don't listen to nobody. Measure it out, make sure everything's right, and do it right, man. You do it once, never have to worry about it again. All right, so the third thing that we had to do is we got this piece right here that holds in this bearing right here. So what we did is we shaved this bearing, shaved this retainer right here down, so that way our gear for our PPG stuff wouldn't hit, because this gear right here was hitting on that little retainer right here. So got that all put in, or got that all shaved down. It's not the prettiest, but it's cleared. So now we can put our bolts in and go get our torque wrench and torque these bad boys down. That's number one for this. Let's torque these down, and then we can start getting everything else in. I know y'all think I'm a genius or whatever, but I do refer to my manuals when I do engine builds or transmission builds. I always refer to my manuals, and so that way y'all know I'm not just bullshitting with these torque specs. We need 8.7 foot-pounds of torque for those little 2 bolts. Let's go knock that out. Alright, so we got these things in there, and we also hit them with a punch. There's like indentation you hit with a punch. That's all good to go. So now let's go over here and check out all the hardware we got. So as y'all saw in my last video, we have a lot of stuff that comes with the dog box, and to assemble all this we would have to throw it inside the gear stack, because this is a cuff. So let me get the tripod set up and I can show you how we're going to do all that. Alright, so the first thing you want to start with is your 2 washers. You have one that's a convical washer or whatever it's called. You have one that's a flat washer. This one, if I can get it in focus, this one has like an edge, so you don't want the edges pointing down like that. You want them pointing up like that, like a spring. You want them pointing up, and that one goes on the bottom, and then the flat one goes on top. Before we even get that in, let's get our differential in. Yes, sir. Alright, y'all might be asking why did I put the main shaft in without all the gears on it. What I like to do, I like to come over here and I like to grab the counter shaft and the first fork and try to throw those boys in by themselves, and then while I'm putting the gears on, I'll throw the second counter or fork in, and then we'll throw the third in once we get to that point. Right now I just want to get the counter shaft and the first fork in, so let's do that. Alright guys, so a trick that I like to do is I'll break this down to where it's only the first gear on it, so that way I can get it locked in here. As y'all saw, I had to bring this one out a little bit just to get the slider in. So now we can drop in our second gear. Just like that. So now we got our first and second slider in. We'll always check to make sure everything's good to go. Make sure everything still spins still. Now we're gonna go on to the next gear. Okay, so the main shaft has these two bearings, just like that. Then it has third gear right there. Actually, we don't want to put that one on first. Let's put this one on first, on this side, on the main shaft side. Alright, so it goes this way. So you want to, on the counter shaft, all this stuff really just slips right on, so put this one down. Boom. You don't have to press nothing on. Now you put on third on the main shaft. Try to get this stuff to line up and fall right in. Make sure nothing is touching. That looks good. So next we want to get our hub, then our slider. Get those two on. We're gonna put our neck, that goes right there. Our collar, not neck, collar. Boom. And then while we have this on now, we can get in our second slider, our second fork. So we grab our second fork, we'll pull this back up, slide the fork in there, put it in the hole. Boom. Now that one's on. So now we got two forks all the way up to third gear, third and a half. So now let's get our fourth gear on and work this out. Okay, so now we have our fourth gear. Pop that on, boom. And our main shaft fourth gear. Let's see if we can get that on. This one comes with a collar and two bearings, needle bearings. So try to make sure you got both of those in there. Push the collar down. So now, now we got this slider and fork, this slider and fork, and they all spin. Alright, next you want to get your cuff. I'm going to try to slide this bad boy on best way you can. Boom. Now we're going to get our little billet collar that we have that goes here that holds these bad boys together. Just like that. Now this one has to come up just a little bit, just a tad. Once we lock it in, it should bring it up. Just that little hair that we need it to be. Other than that, this thing is all good to go. Let's get our bearings and everything else that goes on top. This is the piece that goes on underneath the bearing. Pretty sure this goes here first. Just like that. Now you want to push on your bearing. It's gonna need some love, so just like that. You got your bearing on. It's not touching the collar. That's really good. Next bearing is our ball bearing. Goes on to this one as well. This one's gonna need some love as well. For some reason, all these just don't want to go on easy like they did the stock shaft. Alright, next you want to put on your bolt on top and finish it off with our last bearing. Everything's sticking today. What is going on? There's oil on here. I don't know why. Come on now. There we go. Let's get our bolt one. Oh, before I put this on, I actually got to put the last fork in. It's the last fork. This fork doesn't hook into anything. It just rides along here because you won't have fifth gear, but you'll still have reverse. So it just rides along like that. So let's tighten this up. Pretty sure this is supposed to be torqued down to 80 foot-pounds, but let me double check that. So now we got everything all put together. Before I even lock this nut down, what I want to do is I have a window case right there. I have a window case that I want to throw on here and make sure everything looks right and everything's all even. So that's what I'm probably going to do. So let me try putting the window case on. Let's check it out. Alright, so now that we got it all put together, I do have 4 bolts in it. Right, one right here, one right here, one right there, and one right there. I'm going to tighten these boys down. And then we're going to check the window, which is on this side, to see how the gears align. As you can see, we're having a problem right there. 4th gear on the counter shaft is hitting 4th gear, like the little tooth of the main shaft. That's one problem we're having right now. I'm gonna hit up some of my sources and try to see how do you fix that. All right, guys, so remember what I was saying, that this gear, the 4th gear, was hitting on this 4th gear. Come to find out, I had this one upside down. As you can see, this lip right here on the inner side is like dipped in, and then on the other side, this one's flush. As you can see, I had it on the dipped in side. That's kind of why it was hitting on that. Now that we switched it over, let me show you. And get it on one hand real quick. Come on, get down there. Oh, hold on. Get this on. Come on. Get in there. Hold on. Hold on, put it back together real quick. Alright, so now if you can see in there, let me zoom in right here. Now as you can see in there, there's a lot of space underneath there now. I don't know if I can get it in a perfect view. There's a lot of space now where they're not hitting, just because I had this gear upside down. That fixed all of that. Now we can put the case on and try to see if it works. Alright, so now that we got everything put back together, I checked the clearance on that one little issue that we had, and it's clearing perfect. If it clears now, that means that I fixed it, because before, when the gear was flipped over, it was actually hitting the whole time. I thought like maybe me putting it in a snap ring will pull this gear up, which was not the case. It did not happen like that. So now it's all perfect. It's not hitting. Everything turns. If I put it in neutral, it's all going to turn. So what we're going to do is we're going to get our case, test fit our case on, make sure everything is all cleared and everything, and then spin it, cycle it, and all that. So let's get the case on. Alright guys, so now that we have everything all torqued down, everything's all tightened up, this last nut, you have to torque down, you have to notch it at the top of the counter shaft. It's 94 foot-pounds, I believe. I had to double check that, but it's 94 foot, I think it's 94 foot-pounds for the top of the counter shaft for the B series trans. So I'm gonna torque this down, and then we'll see. Let me go see what the torque specs on that really is. Alright, so yeah, so it's 94 foot-pounds. So let's torque this down. It should all lock after a minute. There we go. There we go. Whew. Had to put a lot of hip into that one. Try to notch this. There we go. We got it all torqued down and punched at the top. 94 foot-pounds was the torque spec on this bolt. Everything's sliding perfectly into gear. Everything spins. Like I said, I fixed that one little issue we had with the top of fourth, or the bottom of fourth. Fixed that. So now the next thing that we have to do is put our case on. Actually, no. Next thing we have to do is put on some gray Honda bond, and then we'll get our case on all snug, turn around, hit it on the ground, and let's get to it. Now that's done, we get our case, try to push it on. Might need some love. See if we can get this on right. Alright, now so we're gonna start throwing in our bolts. I got the case to kiss. Now you just throw your bolts in, and I'm pretty sure these are torqued down to, actually I'm not gonna guess, let me go find out. Quick, before you tighten up all of the bolts for the case, make sure you get your reverse bolt in, at least threaded in partially. That way everything will go smoothly. I'm telling you, if you don't thread that bolt in, it's going to be a pain. And also thread in your selector little bolt right here, so you can have your tension when you go up and down. That will save you a lot too. Make sure you put it in between the spring as well. See if I can get in there. Put it in between the spring. That way you can have tension down and up. So these bolts are 20 foot-pound bolts. So you want to torque them down to 20 foot-pounds. Let's see if I can get it. Anyway, alright, that's pretty good. So that's all good. Let's move on to the next things. Deadening springs. Deadening springs. These are longer and stronger. So first what you want to do is you want to pop that ball in there. Make sure that ball stays in there. Then you want to go ahead and screw the little bolt in there. Same as this one at the bottom below it. Do the same thing. And make sure that spring is in there, because if that spring is not in there, you probably have a hard time shifting. Alright, so this is the selector. It's pretty tricky. What you want is, there's like a little notch that goes in between this little groove here. So what I tend to do is I try to leave this up atop, and I'll turn it downwards and push it in all at once. And then once you get it in there, you want to pull up on your selector. Pull up on your selector while pushing this in. So let me see if I could try to do it. You probably can't catch it on camera because I gotta look in there. So let me get it in there, and then I'll show you what it looks like after. Right, so you'll know you got it right when you see the forks are all inside the selector, and even the selector here is inside of there. So that's how you know you got it right. And then when you come up top and you look in there, let me see if I can get the light in there. I can't get the light in there, but there's a little hole up there for where's that screw? Did I put the screw back over here? Let me find the screw real quick. All right, so there'll be a hole for this screw. So when you put the screw in there, it'll hold the selector. If that's aligned right there where this screw is at, then you got this thing money. So just go ahead and tighten this up, and the selector's in. All right, so now that we got our selector in, now we have to come over here, grab some Honda bond. What you want to do is you want to put some Honda bond around the edge of this bad boy here, and then I'll show you how to put this on. Put this on, you want this notch in this little box right there, and you already know this shaft goes inside there. So just try to align them as best as you can. Get it on there. And you want to get your mallet, You want to give it some taps. Oh, give it some love taps to get it on. Come on now. Make sure you got the bolts too. Makes it easier when you got the bolts. Hopefully it don't fall. It's probably gonna fall. Our selector's in. We'll go through the gears here in a little bit, make sure everything works. But so far, everything looks so good. First time ever building a dog box, and it was real easy, honestly. I just know how to read. So let's see. Oh. Okay. Okay, I think we need our, yeah, we need to spin it. All right, so let me get it on the floor so we can spin it, so we can go through the gears. Okay, so before we actually shift through these gears and make sure everything is good, because I did check a couple of gears. Fourth is the only one we can't go to because we got to spin the transmission with the dog box. Make sure you put your little bung here. I didn't put it on because I wanted to make sure that the little clip was in. Ooh, bless me. Make sure you put that bad boy in. Mine is actually right here. And what I do is I put a little Honda bond on around the outside because this will leak if you don't do that. I had them leak before, so Honda bond on the outside doesn't hurt it. Just pop it in there. All right, guys. So I almost forgot. There's one more bolt to the case that goes right there. Don't forget to put that bolt in, and don't forget to take it out when you split your case. You will break your case if you forget to take it out when you're trying to pull your case apart. It will feel like your case is stuck because the Honda bond, it's not the Honda bond, it's this bolt. So don't forget to put that one in. I just remembered when I saw the bolt on the table. So put yours in. All right, so now that we're done building this dog box, I can show y'all that it shifts and everything's all good. Like I said, the only thing that we had wrong with the whole gear stack itself was the gears were upside down. Fixed that. Now everything's working as it should. See if we can do this real quick. Oh, had it in gear. So that should be reversed. So this should be first right there. Spinning. Same thing. Should be spin it a little more. A second. Then I'm gonna pop it out of gear. Should be third if I can spin it. Third. That's third. That's fourth. So one thing with these, you have to make sure you spin them because the dog teeth will like hit on top of each other and then it won't go in gear. So that's fourth. We don't have a fifth, so I think it goes back in that way, and that's reverse. Alright guys, so if you like the video, go ahead and hit that like button. It helps us get our videos out to the world. And also hit that subscribe button if you're not subscribed. We got a lot of crazy things coming for this car, and our car is officially about to be up for the race season. I gotta head off to bed because tomorrow's about to be very eventful trying to get this dog box in the car. So I'll catch you on that next one. Peace.